Okay, Louie, come on, do this. Whew, icebreaker, out of the way, yes.
Exciting.
Yes. So when you and I spoke before the meeting, it's all about just get up here and say something and sit down, right? That's the whole point of the icebreaker. For those of us in the audience, we want to learn about you, but as your first speech, it's all about just doing it. So let's talk a little bit about what you did well and to think about some things for your next speech. So how are you feeling?
Good. Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, you're probably not going to remember anything you said, but there's playback that Greg does, so he can look at himself and see what he said. You look very comfortable up here. You have a good stance, and your arm movements were purposeful, and you looked at the audience, and so you looked really, really comfortable up here, which was great. I like how you started the speech, which is you can call me Louie, Lou, or Lewis. I'll answer to any of them. And so that was just a little bit of a way for us to kind of get engaged, right? Because you're like, well, because I'm thinking, well, is your name Lewis? And you will go by Louie. Like, you know, you just kind of start thinking about those things. So that was a good way to open it up. And you did a really good way to frame your speech with a quote. That quote allowed you to flow through the speech. There were 4 areas that you talked about. So you talked about your job, you talked about your hobbies, and you talked about when you were a child. A couple of options there. So we got to know you through this framework that you set up. So that's a really good way, especially when you're just learning how to give a speech and to speak in front of people that aren't for work, is a good way to keep yourself on track. And so those are all the things that you did really well. I think you did a really good job for your first speech. Like you came across as someone who probably had done more than one speech. So think about next time. We all have crutch words, and yours are so and Take a look at it. And these are one of those things you can't necessarily control, but now that you're thinking about it, you will eventually notice. Just think about it, and it's one of those things that just as you start giving speeches, do that. And I would also encourage you, you told me you're assigned to do another speech very quickly, keep that pace going. The more you do, just the better things are. So I would encourage you to do that. And one thing that I want you to think about, maybe not the next speech, but as you move forward, is you didn't really need your notes. It was your crutch, right? So we all start in our own time, and if the next time you need it, all that's okay. Make it a goal that you know what you're talking about. If you do enough practicing, you will get it. This was just because it was your first time and it helped you feel better. And then even more after that, then you can talk about vocal variety, going softly, loudly, props, some of those things that kind of bring interest into your speech. But those are all down the road. But you did a really good job on your first speech. Congratulations.